After watching the 7th movie of the Little Yellow Guys, Minions and Monsters, I gotta say that I really love this franchise. But did you know that even if you love the Minions so much, if you watch their movies a bunch of times, you'll manage to spot some pretty weird mistakes? For example, in the latest movie, we can see a logic mistake that is almost impossible to detect. In the first scene where Dort is seen by the Minions led by Dick, he is at a sci-fi convention. And if you look closely, you'll see that behind him there's a blue rocket, probably made out of cardboard, and an event staffer holding a sign. Note clearly that they are right next to each other, the blue cardboard rocket and the guy with the sign. However, if you look closely, right in the very next scene, you'll realize not only that the guy with the event sign is now on the other side of the rocket, but an older lady has also appeared completely out of nowhere. After the Minions start becoming super successful in Hollywood, to the point where they get invited to leave their marks on the world-famous Walk of Fame. So far, so good. That's something really famous people are used to doing. But you probably didn't know this, but this whole thing is a huge mistake. That's because, as we can see on the clapperboard used by James to start the scene of his movie, they are in 1927. The thing is, the Hollywood Walk of Fame was officially opened in 1960, which means over 30 years later. Even for the Minions, who are practically immortal, that's a long time. In the same way, another intriguing thing that we can also consider a mistake happens in the same movie, except in the scene where James and Henry win the banana-shaped Oscar. And that's where we find yet another historical error. The first Oscar ceremony was held in 1929, only 2 years later. You might even say that it wasn't the real Oscar, but let's remember that Max, the director who introduced the Minions to the movie world, had already talked to James about the Oscar award, which hadn't even been invented yet. So we can say that we're dealing with a double mistake at the end of the day. Speaking of bananas, now let's talk about something that has been bugging me a lot for a few years, and 99% of Minions fans have never noticed. Everybody knows that Minions love bananas, right? And everybody also knows that bananas are tropical fruits, which grow in warm places. So, how do you explain the fact that when the Minions were leaving that freezing cave in the middle of Siberia, Stuart simply pulls out a perfectly yellow and totally unfrozen banana? Seriously, that banana was way too fresh to have been kept in the ice for decades, which is the only explanation since bananas don't grow in the snow, right?
Going back to last year, now let's talk about a pretty interesting mistake we found in Gru's latest movie, Despicable Me 4. In the scene where Gru arrives for his high school reunion in a really stylish car, we can see that the Minions arrive right after him in a miniature version of the exact same car. Except that when they go to step out of the vehicle, they literally get stuck. When the first one gets out, the car ends up tipping on its side, and one of the Minions gets trapped in the door with his belly facing forward. So much so that we can see the former villain's signature G on his overalls. However, when the scene cuts to Gru and then cuts back to the Minions, surprisingly, the exact same Minion stuck in the door of the little car is now facing backwards, with the back of his body facing us. So, did you notice that? Taking advantage of the fact that we're talking about Minions and their overalls, in Minions and Monsters, there's a scene that shows how the Minions started wearing their typical blue overalls even before they met Gru for the first time. When they walk into a luxurious, fancy clothing store to pick out suits, they find the janitor's outfit really cool, who is wearing a yellow shirt with blue overalls. And the group of yellow guys leaves the store wearing the exact same thing. But this is definitely a major mistake, since in the first solo Minions movie, the one with Scarlet Overkill, another version of how the Minions started wearing their blue overalls is shown. The trio of protagonist Minions arrives in New York, and they need to trade their heavy winter coats for something less warm, since it's summer. After a few failed suggestions from Stuart, they then spot the famous overalls on a clothesline and take them. So, since the origin of the Minions' clothes had already been established over 10 years ago in their first movie, we can say that this new origin story for their denim overalls is a mistake.
Before we continue, just a quick heads up. If you also enjoy movies, series, and cartoons, click the subscribe button right now, all right?
Going back to the opening scene of Despicable Me 4, after the Minions dress up as agents of the Anti-Villain League, they accompany Gru as his bodyguards. And if you look off to the side, in the scene, you'll notice there are two men talking, and one of them is wearing a metallic suit full of spikes that look like they're made of iron. There would be nothing wrong with that if it wasn't for the fact that as soon as Gru walks in, this exact same guy in the spike-covered metal suit is walking in right in front of Lucy's husband and his servants. But how is this possible? Normally, he should have walked in after our despicable protagonist. Don't you agree? Moving on to Despicable Me 3 now, we find a mistake that we're pretty sure you didn't notice when you watched the movie, because it is very subtle. When Gru's twin brother, Drew, manages to destroy the power core of Brat's giant robot, you'll be able to notice, if you look closely at the background of the scene, that during the battle, not only was part of the Hollywood sign destroyed, leaving only 3 letters, but we can also see that the L is leaning right up against the letter O.
However, after that, Gru and Brat start fighting, and, by pure chance, the remaining letters of the Hollywood sign appear again. But this time, they aren't leaning against each other anymore. Instead, they are separated, just like they were before the giant robot's attack. In this exact same scene from the Minions' Big Boss's third movie, we can also spot another mistake, but this time, a logic one. One of Brat's main weapons is his evil electric guitar, and we can see that to play it, the villain uses his right hand, which indicates that he is right-handed. However, during the fight, Gru ends up snatching the electric guitar that was custom-made specifically for Brat, and plays it like it's no big deal. But this time, our favorite villain plays it using his left arm, which shows that Gru is left-handed. But how is that possible? A guitar can't have both sides set up exactly the same, right? Let's go back a bit more and jump straight into the very first movie that started it all in the Minions universe. In the first movie featuring the little yellow guys, we notice a few mistakes that catch our eye, like what happens in the scene where Gru goes to the Bank of Evil to try to get a loan from Mr. Perkins to fund his plan to steal the moon. The thing is, the guy doesn't care at all about getting the money for the Minions' boss, since he plans on having his own son, Vector, do it. But before that, Gru sees those bizarre sculptures of a man being crushed by a pillar little by little. And right after, he runs into his arch-nemesis Vector himself while he's waiting to be seen by the banker. And if you look closely, you'll realize that the pillars with the sculptures on both sides are visible. We can see that on one side the sculptures are facing the same way, which is correct. However, on the left side, the sculpture on one side is facing right, and the one on the other side is facing left, which makes absolutely no sense. After finally getting seen by the evil banker, we can spot a few other super bizarre mistakes that, back when I watched it for the first time, I didn't even notice. The weirdest thing happens the moment Mr. Perkins is holding an apple and steps away from his desk, and also away from Gru, who is sitting right in front of it. Then, right when he is being his most intimidating, he spins around really fast and crushes the apple, getting super close to Gru. But how is this possible if just 1 second earlier he was several feet away from the master of the Minions? But hold on, because there are even more weird things in this exact same scene. Notice that when he's walking away from Gru, the hand he's using to hold the apple that's about to be crushed is his left hand. However, in the blink of an eye, when he turns around, he uses his right hand to crush the fruit. If that's not a mistake, we can say that Mr. Perkins is almost as fast as the Flash, the superhero from the Justice League.
We've reached the end of this video, but if you like having your mind blown, this is the right place. That's why we left 2 really good videos for you to click, watch, and best of all, stay with us.